you're under investigation, or have reason to believe you might be under investigation, or you've been arrested, or you've been cited, or you've been charged with a crime, any of these situations, number one, don't talk about it at all on social media.
Yeah.
In fact, you shouldn't really talk about it to anybody except for who is either going to be your attorney or who actually is your attorney and anybody on their staff. And so you got to reach out to an attorney immediately. If you're in California, then you can reach out to me and our team could get you taken care of. Outside of California, then you should just look up a solid attorney in your area and reach out to them. Most criminal defense attorneys don't charge for a consultation, so you have nothing to lose by reaching out to them, but you have everything to gain in terms of getting a solid advocate on your side and getting out in front of this and being able to actually do some proactive work in order to ideally even avoid charges being filed in the first place. So we've been able to, get involved in cases where it hasn't even reached a prosecutor's office. So it's still with the investigating officer or the detective, and we've been able to provide them the information to convince them to close out their file. So it never even becomes a situation where a DA is analyzing the case. And that's the most ideal scenario. And so if you think about it, if you do nothing and then they ultimately find, okay, well, we have probable cause or reason to believe that these crimes have been committed and this guy's the one who did it, and they turn it over to the DA, and the DA is like, okay, based on what we see in these reports, we can file charges against them. Even if that case ultimately gets dismissed, you still had to go through a whole court case and the stress that comes along with that. And then even if it ultimately reaches a dismissal, there's still going to be activity on your rap sheet that then, ultimately has to be explained to prospective employers, to property managers for housing. And so like when you're applying for a housing, and we're not even talking about like government housing, just, I want to rent in an apartment or rent this house or live in this neighborhood, and they do a background check. If you have to explain why you got charged with assault with a deadly weapon and it got dismissed, but you didn't have anything to do with it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's more than just
you may not even get the opportunity to explain. They just see that, and even though it says DISM on there, which means dismissed, and that's hard for an HR director or a property manager to read. Like, if you're not in the business of reviewing rap sheets, it's hard to understand. And so all you're gonna see is this activity, and it looks bad. And so if you can have a defense attorney get on early on, and they can, perhaps convince the detective or law enforcement agency to close out their file on that level without you, having to go to court, then that's gonna really help just practically to avoid a case going to the district attorney and being filed. But then on the other level, avoiding that entry on your rap sheet obviously is huge.